Hello, everyone, and welcome to our new episode of the Expat Career and Lifestyle podcast. This is Dominika Miernik, your host, and our special guest today is Catarina Querioz. Catarina was born in Portugal, but she spent her childhood in South Africa and Botswana. She was in her early teens when her family returned to Portugal, where she became a trained high school teacher. After getting married and having her daughter, she traded teaching for freelance translating and coaching and joined her husband for a 2-year adventure in the Netherlands. She's now back in Portugal, working as an expat partner consultant and journalist. Welcome, Catarina. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Dominika. It's a pleasure.
You're welcome. So, tell us a little bit about you and how your expat journey started.
Well, I was born in Portugal, and when I was 5 years old, my family went to live in South Africa because of my father's work. He worked in aeronautics in mechanics, so he was building airplanes. It was a really fun job. I loved it. And then we spent 1 year in South Africa, and then we moved to Botswana. We stayed there until I was 10. I went to the international school there in the capital, in Gaborone. And then we moved back to Portugal, where I stayed until I had my daughter. So only when I was 31 did I move to the Netherlands with my husband. We were in Amsterdam and in The Hague because of his work as well. So we were there for 2 years in the Netherlands. And now we are back in Portugal, in my home country.
Mm-hmm. Great. So you moved a lot to different continents, different countries. So what was your biggest challenge while living abroad, and how did you overcome it?
Well, the biggest challenge for me has always been to say goodbye properly to the place and the surroundings, all the environment where I'm living and where I have started to feel settled. So this is really hard for me. It seems like I need to feel closure when I leave. And one of the ways that I have found to overcome it is to visit the place again after I have moved. So unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to do this for Africa, but for the Netherlands, I have returned there for visits, and it's really helpful to put things in perspective and accept that I have changed and moved on to another country, another space, another environment. Another challenge is to keep in touch with my friends that I can't see so often anymore. This is something I'm still working on. Mostly I use social media to keep in touch with them, but it's never the same thing as being in person. So this is a work in progress, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so keeping in touch with people and saying goodbye to the place you lived.
Yes.
Yeah. I like this idea about coming back to the country where you lived before. I am doing the same. Sometimes, if I have the time, I like to come back to the country where I lived and see how the country has changed. Through the time. Yeah, so
that's very helpful. Yeah, and taking photos and making a photo journal. I did that. Of these places that I really loved.
Yeah, great. Yeah. So as you said before, you were born in Portugal and you spent your childhood in South Africa. Yeah. So how this experience impacted your life?
Well, I like to think that it made me much more flexible and open-minded because I could see so many different cultures, traditions, perspectives. And that's helpful when I return to my home country. So I can give a different input from most people and try to see another vision of things and sometimes help people overcome their prejudices as well.
Mm-hmm. So it's
I like to think that this is a positive thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think it's a positive thing because you are like open-minded. You have like different cultures inside of you, so you can see everything from a different perspective and also like help people, as you said, to be more open. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So you say about yourself that you are a third culture kid. So what does it mean to be a third culture kid?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I first heard about third culture kids when I was in university in Portugal. I was studying philosophy, and a friend of mine who also grew up in South Africa told me about a group of people that got together to talk about their experiences living abroad and how their experience of living in another country, growing up there, and then moving again and going back to their home country made them build another culture, an alternative culture of their own, which is called the third culture. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I didn't really pay much attention to it, but later, after I lived in the Netherlands, I got to know the FIGT, Families in Global Transition Conference. It's a group of families of people from all over the world that are mobile and always moving from one country to another. And through this community, I got to understand more about the concept and get a clearer definition that a third culture kid is a person that spent a significant time of his or her development years in other countries that are not his passport country. And so he or she built a new culture that is called the third culture. It's very interesting.
Mm-hmm. It's a very interesting subject. So this is so you can define yourself as a third culture kid if you moved to abroad or to a new country during your let's say early during your childhood. Yeah.
Yeah, during your development years. Yeah. And then when you are older, they say then you are an adult third culture kid.
Okay, yeah, adult, yeah. So I am, yeah. So I can identify myself in adults, I think, because I moved in my 20s.
In your 20s, yeah. So you would be an ATCK.
ATCK, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And my sister, she moved when she was 7 years old. So yeah, so she is
a TCK.
Yeah, so we are a nice combination.
Yeah, a very mobile family.
Yeah, very mobile family. Yeah. So how did you, during those years, moving to South Africa, so of course you were in your early teens and then moving to the Netherlands and coming back to your home country, which is Portugal. So how did you discover or build your career path during your experience, international experience?
Yeah, well, my international experience made me want to communicate and help others. So I initially thought I'd like to be a teacher. And I majored in philosophy, and I was then in Portugal teaching in high school, teaching philosophy and psychology. My career path seemed straightforward. But then when my daughter was born, there was this big recession in Portugal and there were not any teaching jobs available. So I decided to take a break and move. My husband found another job in the Netherlands and we went there for 2 years. So I was thinking, how should I redesign my career? And one of the things that I really loved to do was to read, write, and translate. So I started freelancing as a translator from English to Portuguese, and also as a writer. So I started offering myself for some volunteering writer jobs. I wrote for Amsterdam Mamas in the Netherlands and also for Expat Haarlem. I wrote articles for them, so I started gaining experience. And then gradually I started getting paid for writing work as well. I also was teaching Portuguese to foreigners when I returned to Portugal. So I was freelancing in several fields: translator, writer, and Portuguese language coaching. And then after some time, when I was living in Portugal, I also found a job freelancing as a consultant for a company that provides support to expat spouses. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm doing this consulting work, and I'm also a journalist for this company's magazine. And I keep on writing on my blog. Right now, I'm restructuring it, and I'm developing some projects in more related to philosophy. I'm volunteering at my daughter's school so I can do there a project of philosophy for children, because I'm very interested in developing critical thinking in children from a young age, so that they have the skills to do well at school later on in life, and also to be people with empathy and an ethic worldview. So philosophy for children is a big passion of mine, and I'm developing some of these some projects related to this. Besides teaching philosophy for children, I also write stories for children in this field. And right now, I don't have anything available on my website because it's under construction, but hopefully soon enough.
Mm-hmm. So you have like multiple interests, like
yes.
multiple income streams. So how do you combine them? How, for example, do you know on which one you can focus now, which one is like for later? So how do you like manage those ideas that you have, those interests?
Well, I rely heavily on Google Calendar to put all my tasks daily. And then I prioritize for paid work and work that is still in progress and not being paid at the moment. And sometimes I also work evenings and weekends. It depends. I'm very flexible, and sometimes I feel it's disorganized, but in the end, all the things that had a timing to be done are done. Mm-hmm. Somehow it happens.
Yeah, so it's like focusing on paid work and then doing other projects like on the side. Yeah,
around it.
Yeah. So what can you advise to other expat women who are looking to build their careers while living abroad?
Well, I think that they should have the perspective that they don't have anything to lose. They already lost everything they had to lose because they moved abroad and they left their old life, let's say it like that, behind. So if you don't have anything to lose, you can explore your interests at ease. You might have some restrictions of time, for example. When I was in the Netherlands, I had my daughter and she was 2 years old, so I didn't have all the free time I could envision. But still, with the time I had, I explored exactly what I was interested in, what I loved, what were my passions. So I think if you have this incredible opportunity of living abroad, you should use it to follow your dreams, even if this sounds a bit tacky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you said that you like discovered your passion, or like connected maybe with your past passion. So how to do that? Because sometimes it is difficult to understand what is our passion.
Okay. Well, in my case, I'm very reflexive and introspective. So I go back and I rethink my life path, and I try to pinpoint, since I was very young, what did I like to do? So I could make a list, for example, what did I want to be when I was 6 years old, and when I was 10, and when I was 12, was it the same thing? And then with this list, I can try to compare and think, is there anything in common with this? For example, when I was a child, I wanted to be a writer or a circus performer. Mm-hmm. And then when I was older, I decided I wanted to be a teacher. But what happened was that this wasn't possible due to the recession economy. I couldn't be a teacher anymore. So I thought, what is in common with writing and teaching? Teaching obviously has a lot in common with writing, because to be a teacher, I have to always be writing and preparing classes and communicating. So why don't I try to explore a bit more of the writing part? That was something I had also enjoyed when I was younger. Let's try to divide, get something interesting about being a teacher, that I can still do without being a teacher, and that I relate to it. So maybe another person could try to do this thinking exercise, make a list of interests, hobbies, and anything that she likes to do, and then try to find the common things, something that is common to all of them, and pursue that, for example. And if it doesn't work out, there can also always be a plan B or a plan C, I think. Because I believe that a person can do multiple things with success. It's not like there is only one thing for each person.
Yes, I believe it into it also, because now we have like more opportunities and possibilities to focus on different interests. So not only like having one job and working in this job to the end of our life, like our parents, for example, did. So we can do multiple things. And also, like as you said, like connecting when it comes to like discovering your interests or passions, it's about like connecting the dots and looking like for the common path.
Common thread. You explain it better because you're a coach.
Yes, so you started your blog or like freelance writing for different platforms while living in the Netherlands. So how blogging and writing like has helped you to express your like international or like your own identity?
Well, it was the most helpful thing of all, I think, because when I landed in Amsterdam, I was feeling completely alone and isolated. I didn't have any connections. And the first thing I started to do was to blog about it. And then through the blog, I found so many other expat bloggers and a big community of international people. So I think blogging for me actually changed everything. It was the best type of platform. It was very liberating in one sense, that I could put all my thoughts and express myself. And then on the other sense, it was a great networking tool as well, because then I could go from myself to others, and I could connect with the community.
So what can you advise, for example, to an expat who is thinking about starting a blog or being a freelance writer?
Well, the first thing is don't overthink it. Just do it. Start the blog, and then things will come together. Because if you're thinking of doing it and then you never do it, it will very likely not happen. So start the blog and then try to get into some kind of routine that works for you. So if you have available sometime every day or twice a week or 3 times a week, try to make that into a routine and write during those times that you have set apart for it. Another good idea, depending on the theme of your blog, is to take notes whenever something comes to mind so you don't forget it. Imagine if you're a lifestyle blogger and you're going in the street and you see some very interesting shop and you think, oh wow, I'd like to write a blog post about this. Better take note of it on your phone or something so you don't forget, and have a collection of notes. And another thing that's really useful is to have a blogging buddy. I did that in the Netherlands with a friend. We set a time to work together at the same time. Each one was working on their own blog, but we were working at the same time. So 2 or 3 times a week. And this was making us much more productive because we were putting our energy together. So these are some tips I can give.
Yes, because this is very important, I think, like with blogging, like you have to have like a consistency, no? Like blogging, like posting your blogs, for example, once per week or twice per month. So sometimes it can be like challenging to stick to this consistency.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's challenging sometimes. It also depends a bit on the goal of your blog. If you're, for example, writing books, then you don't have to be blogging every day. But if you're trying to keep a community, like imagine if you have a community of of translators or a community of coaches or writers, it's good to be posting every day or almost every day to keep it alive, keep it going.
Yeah, great. So let's talk a little bit about your let's say repatriation to Portugal, because you moved twice back to your home country. Yeah. So how this transition was for you?
Oh, it was hard. It was hard both times. I think repatriation is more difficult than relocation because you have changed so much when you come back, and the people that you left behind here also changed. So it's much more difficult to reconnect, and you feel a bit lost. Somebody once told me that it takes about 2 years to settle back in to a new location, and for me this was really true. Only after about 2 years that I start to feel more settled and belonging here again.
So what did you do to overcome this repatriation shock? Or
well, I started to try to reconnect with old friends, but also make some contacts for new friends, and invest a bit in making my house feeling like home, and doing some courses as well to distract my mind, because as you've seen, I have so many interests. And when you move back, there's a phase where you can't do anything because you're dealing with all bureaucracy and fixing up the house and everything. And then I get very restless because I'm not learning anything new. So I went to the university to do some workshops and some interesting courses, and connected with some new friends. I also started going to a co-work office sometimes that has lots of international people there. So this is also helping me to keep an international environment. Otherwise, I can go crazy. So a mix of reconnecting with old friends, making new friends, pursuing some new interests, and going to a space like a co-work space that has more international-minded people. This mix has helped me to settle back in.
Yes, I think it's important to keep touch with international community, even if you are back to your home country. So you can still feel a little bit like an expat.
For sure.
Yeah, in your home country. Yeah. Great, Catarina. Thank you very much for sharing your experience with us and all the tips about your finding a career path and also about blogging. So tell us more, what are your plans for the future, about your project for the future, and where can we find information about you?
Okay, well, thanks a lot for having me. It was really nice to participate in this podcast. And right now, as I think I mentioned before, I'm working on some stories related to philosophy for children. So stories to develop critical thinking in young children. And I'm doing this project at my daughter's school to help me think about these stories and structure them better. And I'm working on my blog, restructuring my website so it's more related to this type of content, philosophy for children, and also multicultural families, and all things related to culture and critical thinking. That's where my future is. But at the moment, it's all a bit under construction. And if people want to connect with me, maybe the easiest way is to go to my Facebook page, Catarina Querioz, and also my Instagram, for example. They can find me easily on social media. And my website, when it's redone, is bycatarina.com. So that's fairly easy as well.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much for sharing that.
Thanks.
And we are waiting for the launch of your new new
The
blog.
relaunch.
Yeah, the relaunch, of your new blog. Thank you very much, Catarina, for being with us today.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you very much for listening, and tell us what are your learning points and what actions are you going to take. And if you like this podcast interview, please leave us a comment and share it with your friends. And I will be back soon with another fantastic guest. Thank you very much and goodbye.